Well, here we go. Welcome in tonight, everyone. Welcome in to the six screens of the Watchtower JW World News. Man, we are so glad that you're here with us tonight. We are seeing so many things happening. Well, anyways, my name's Rick Ferrin. I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. We have got a lot of apostates. And the reason why we have apostates is because there's a lot of people leaving the Watchtower up here. It's just totally amazing to me. So, anyways, I just wanted to bring some information up that I found very fascinating this week. Well, you probably heard the video with Selena Vertolomo. Well, she was the woman that came on our program 3 weeks ago, and Selena was making some bringing some thoughts up about Tony Morris and what a bad man he is, and I do believe Selena, but she said some things that we asked her to kind of help us to understand, and she kind of went with us to some degree. But anyways, Jimmy Bell, he did a program here on the six screens. Not too well. In fact, he had a program called The Big Picture. So he was part of our six screens at one time. But he did a video this week, and he was interviewing Selena. And I found it very fascinating. I posted it up on my Facebook page. But Selena Vertolomo, she thinks that I am kind of like a cooperating with the Watchtower some way. It's called controlled opposition. She is kind of suggesting that I'm somewhat being controlled by them, kind of like being an operative for the Watchtower. But I have to disagree with her. I really, really do. We talk about, she said, because we don't talk about certain things that they like our program. The Watchtower likes our program, and they kind of like sponsor it and move it forward. She said, we talk about shunning, and the Watchtower, they're not going to really be charged anything for shunning. They're glad that we don't get into the really deep stuff that she gets into. So in that way, she was kind of concerned that we would be controlled opposition. The Watchtower, she said, likes us because we don't go deep down the rabbit hole. Well, what rabbit hole are we talking about? Well, we're talking about, Selena was talking about the Watchtower being involved in baby killing, baby sacrificing. Did you hear that? Now, I'm not going to look at. I've been I was in the Watchtower for 50 years of my life. And I'm sure many of you guys listening into the program tonight have been in a while too. Did you ever hear about babies being sacrificed and killed in the Watchtower? I mean, in the Kingdom Hall? Did you ever hear anything like this? I'm sure people would start talking if this happened, but I'm not saying it didn't. But I'm just saying that because we don't really get into baby sacrificing and baby killings and secret codes being sent to governing body members, that I am now part of the controlled opposition of the Watchtower. So I just wanted to make it clear to the people listening in tonight. And I have no bones to pick. I thought the interview was wonderful. Jimmy did a great job, even Selena, and I like what she says. I can't. I mean, I like it. I wish I could totally just dissect it and say, fine, I go along with it all. But maybe we'll get it back on the program again. But I have to say that it was fascinating, to say the least. But I put it up. I put it up so that Jimmy Bell, he's a good friend of mine, and I said, Jimmy, I'll promote it for you because he's going to do another interview. If you haven't listened to the interview, go to my Facebook page. Go to my Facebook page, Rick Ferrin, scroll down, and it shows two like skeleton heads banging together. Jimmy put those pictures up. Listen to that interview. Listen to that interview. But I got picked on big time when Selena came on a few weeks ago, and everyone said, Rick, you're challenging her. I really wasn't challenging her. I just was hoping she could answer some questions. And, she I understand she was molested. Her and maybe her sister too, I believe. But the thing is, I don't. There's enough circumstantial evidence for me to totally understand that. So we'll see what comes out. I mean, the rabbit hole is deep. We know the Watchtower is doing things that are way beyond what everyone believes. So we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, but as far as being a controlled operation or opposition, I'm not controlled by the Watchtower. I think we try to expose as much stuff here. In fact, we've been actually criticized in the past for exposing too much stuff, satanic ritual abuse and all this. We give everyone a voice. So as far as me being some type of an operative with the Watchtower, I have to disagree with that. But I don't know. But you guys can, if you think so, that's fine. But I have to tell you, I have no, I have no reason to really believe, and I want you to believe either, that I'm connected with the Watchtower somehow. So, anyways, you're on with us here tonight, and we're going to open up the lines here. We'll let people talk about some of the stuff. I'm going to give you an update on my wife, Susan. Yes, my wife Susan's been in the hospital all this week, but I'll give you an update on her. People have been writing to me and asking me. I'm going to open up the question and answers right now. I sure know people want to say things, so let's open up and see what's going on.
Q&A session is over. All participants are unmuted.
Okay, so all right, so everyone's unmuted. I'm going to mute all. If you want to,
they can unmute themselves.
If you want to speak up, you hit *6 and come on. Go ahead. Did you want to say something? You're on with us right now.
I was just going to say about the blood transfusion issue. Many infants are, in a way, sacrificed. They could certainly live with Rh factor if they were given blood transfusions, and a large portion of pregnant women die leaving orphans. So, in a way, there is child sacrifice in that regard. I didn't get through there.
I hear you. Did we lose Rick? I think we did.
I don't know. I don't think my comment went through.
Your comment went
Something happened.
Well, your comment went through, Pixie. You're all set. It was a good comment.
Okay.
So
okay, good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, thank
Hope
you.
Your wife's better soon.
Yeah. Well, she's been in the hospital all week. I just took her out today. I just got back 2 hours ago before the program started. But we're here and we're cranking away at it. We've never missed a Saturday night in 18 years. But thank you very much, Pixie, for commenting. All right, let's go to 906. You're on with us.
906.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Farron.
Hello.
Yeah,
Ken.
I've been. Yeah. Hello. This is Ken here from Michigan. I'd want to take issue with what they're saying on there. You know, there's been a lot of ridiculous things coming out in these charges and so forth. I've been here with you for about 7 years and all that. I didn't expect to ever come on the program, but I found it just by accident and so forth. I've talked to several different people, some hosts and co-hosts that was on there. I'm still in contact with some of them and so forth. And I don't know where they get the stuff that we're kind of being half and half friendly with the Watchtower Society, because we're not. I mean, the Watchtower Society has been jamming the networks and all that. They've been doing everything to try to shut it down. They've perpetrated some ridiculous spamming that has been going on. It's been brought out. I'm not going to get into the details and all that, but no way, shape, or form. I mean, we're not in connection with the Watchtower whatsoever, and we're not half and half in with them or whatever it is and all that. So somebody better wake up. And here's another thing too. On these stories, you know, that's been going on. This is what I said, I think, about a week ago, or when I got. We get the information. We don't have all the facts and all that. Let's study it. Let's try to see what we can find out about it. I know that some preposterous things is going on. There's strange things going on in this world right now. There's strange things that's happened to people. There's strange things that happen to me right here, and I don't understand what's going on here and everything like that. Okay, somebody comes on with some information. Let's study it and get information. And everybody gets up in arms because we don't grab it and run with it. Well, we can't do that. Because you know one thing, we'd probably be sued if we put in for misinformation on here. We've never been sued yet, never been served with anything. So yeah, I just hope that somebody would kind of wake up here and kind of cooperate, and let's try to get along here. Let's try to get at the facts. Because don't forget, we've got victims. We're dealing with victims here that have been hurt. Some people are not going to be able to tell their story because they're not here anymore because of suicide or whatever. So come on, let's be reasonable, you know.
Well, thank you, Ken. No, I understand what you're saying, and really, that's what we should be, is reasonable. But thank you, Ken. But I just wanted to say that the ex-witness world, my goodness, I'm finding in the ex-Jehovah's Witness world, you know, I was hoping when I first started doing the 6 screens that we all could be in cooperation with one another and work with one another, but I'm not sure what's going on. It's like attack mode. People get attacked so easily. We're all in this together. We're all trying to expose the Watchtower. I mean, the more the merrier, but let's all work together as allies. You know, maybe some of us don't say exactly what we all want to hear, but we're all in the same ball game here. But, you know, I want to really, from the bottom of my heart, I'm going to look right at my camera and tell you, I am not controlled by the Watchtower. I am not controlled opposition. It's funny that this comes up. I've been accused of that before. Rick Farron works for the Watchtower. I rather, that's crazy stuff. That's crazy stuff. Right, Ken? Yeah. All right.
That definitely is. It's just total and absolute insanity for, you know, somebody to say that. Well, it's like I said before and all that, there's strange things happening around this country and all that I can't believe. I can't believe some of the strange things that's happening to me right now, or that happened to me in the past. I can't go into them right now because we were talking about the 6 Screens Network issues, and so that's what we're going to stick to. And but I mean, it's stop and think and reason, you know, think things out and so forth, and then we'll just go from there. Like this issue that we just talked about recently about the babies and all that. Let's see what we can find out. You know.
Well, you know, I want to say this though to you, Ken. Really, I have to tell you that there is a very deep side of the Watchtower that we may not have really got all the information on. I mean, what we have the information on is scary enough. Yeah. And who knows if there's some secret order, but, you know, I'm willing to at least look at it. But, you know, I would think some of this stuff would seep out. You know, if a person's been around the witnesses for as long as I have, geez, I would think some of it, unless we have some type of mind control that goes beyond what you would ever imagine. But we love Jimmy, and he did a great job in the interview, I have to tell you. So if anyone wants to listen to Jimmy's interview, go to my Facebook page, and you'll hear it. Steve, thank you very much. I mean, like
I said before, just one more thing. The issues in the Watchtower Society, what's going on in the Watchtower Society is a lot worse than we've ever even expected. Now, back when I first got in touch with the abuses of watchtowers in the 90s and everything like that, I never even dreamed that a lot of the stuff was going on. It's a lot worse than we expected and so forth. So I'll tell you what, let's gather all the information we can and just simply go from there. So.
Well, there you go. No,
okay, well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking my call, Mr. Farron. Let's go to the next caller here. You have a good night if I don't get back with you.
All right, well, good man, Ken. Don't you ever change. All right, let's go to the United Kingdom. Let's go to our good friend Steve. Come on, Steve. Say hello to us.
Hi, Rick. Right, I'll just apologise in advance because my internet went down for about 4 minutes, so I missed a little bit just now. So it might have already been said, but here's my problem with what you said that Selena said. I haven't seen that interview. I will watch it, but what you're saying she said about you, right? Well, let's back up a little bit. When she came on the show 3 or 4 weeks ago, she'd never heard of you before. So she's made this judgment call on knowing you over 3 weeks. So I've got a problem with that, because if she's going to go online and publicly say something like that about somebody she knows nothing about, that makes me wonder about the things that she says. Do you understand what I mean? I want to believe what she says. I don't want to believe what she says. It's hideous what she said that is happening, but you know what I mean. I want to believe that, you know, that things are taking place to take Anthony Morrison and the rest of them down. But if she's going to come and say something like that after speaking with you for an hour and a half, maybe, after not hearing about you, never knowing anything about you, and stating something like that publicly and making a judgment call about you without knowing you at all, or knowing anything about the program or the people or anything, then I'm afraid that, in my mind, that puts a big question mark against the things that she's saying. For me, it does anyway. I hope you understand what I'm saying there.
Oh yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying, Steve. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I really enjoyed the interview. Jimmy did a wonderful job, and she was very civil too on the interview. And but you know, when it came up, the 6 screens is some type of an operative or controlled operative of the Watchtower opposition. That seemed funny to me that would come up, because I can't really see I am. If someone could kind of explain to me, I'd be more than willing to listen. Okay, thank you very much, Steve. We have got 320. Go ahead. It looks like Minnesota. Go ahead, Minnesota.
Yeah, Gerald here.
Yeah, Gerald, how are you?
Pretty good. I never called in before, but
could you just turn down the
yeah,
YouTube? Just turn down the YouTube. We're getting a little echoing. Yeah.
Okay. I shut it off.
Okay.
Okay. No, I didn't, I guess. Okay, now I did.
Okay,
but
good.
Anyway, no, I just wanted to call in just another ex-Jehovah's Witness here, 77 years old. Yeah, my wife got in this thing, oh goodness, back in 81. I was an agnostic at the time, and I just went to the Kingdom Hall with her. I went to the Catholic Church with her before, and she got into this, and now she's passed away 13 years ago, and she wouldn't be putting up with this nonsense that's going on now. But anyway, it's I got 7 children, and 2 of them still talk to me. The rest don't. I've got a granddaughter that's 2 years old. I've really never seen her. And it's well, here's what I'm thinking about doing. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm thinking about doing it. I wrote up a 2-page thing published in the local newspapers here in regards to what this religion does to families. You know, they're all broken up, you know. Hello?
I'm here. Yep. Go ahead. You're all right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, here's the thing. Now, Jesus Christ, let's put it this way. Say Jehovah. In the Garden of Eden, he told Adam and Eve to be fruitful and become many. Well, in other words, have a family. And well, in my area here, I would say at least somewhere between 35 and 55% of the people in the congregation have members of their family that they're not talking to. They're not associating with. And my thinking on this is, now who would want to break up families like they do? Satan or Jesus Christ? I think the answer is obvious, but so that, to me, that proves, you know, that this is a demonic cult. Really, that's all it is. That's kind of all I have to say, but I think that's what it comes down to. And of course, let's face it, I got 5 children that don't speak to me, and I got grandchildren that don't speak to me because I left. I found out it was a bunch of nonsense. But
well, geez,
anyway,
we all feel bad for you. I have children don't speak to me either. Plenty of people listening in. It's really a terrible situation. It's evil what they do. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming in all the way from, what is it, Minnesota, is it? Yep.
Yep, Minnesota, you bet. Okay, well, thank you, Rick.
Well, I really appreciate you listening in. Now, don't you be a stranger. You come back and see us again, okay?
If I have a thought, I will.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we got to go.
Bye.
Thank you. We got to go again to 906. It looks like out in Marquette, Michigan. You're on with us. Go ahead. Okay, Marquette, Michigan. Are you with us? Marquette, Michigan. All right. I guess not. Speak up if you want. All right. Well, anyways, let's.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to add to the comment about Selena.
Yeah.
And you know, she might have a point. Maybe you are an op. You know, and I might be the Pope. You know, the Pope to the Catholic Church. Sorry, but it's crazy speak. You know, Watchtower would never pay somebody standing outside of their kingdom halls and assembly halls with signs that say Jehovah's Witnesses protect, or whatever signs that you have. I don't know specifically off the top of my head. It would almost be like saying that Alex Jones is an operative for the government, and it's like he's exposing the government. You don't support people to expose you. That's the worst possible thing that you could possibly. It's the worst thing you could do for any corporation or any entity is to expose them. And so why would they ever pay for their own exposure? I'm not going to watch the interview because I've already made up my mind about this girl. She's just an attention seeker, and I don't think she's worth our time, really. I know that she went through something hard. I can see it in her eyes. It takes one to know one, and I feel bad for her for that. But, you know, those are my thoughts on it, Rick. Have a good night, man.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you,
Hey,
Rick. Yes, go ahead. You're with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Scott. I won't reiterate what everybody else had said because I pretty much agree with everything that's been said. Because that part of that interview, I listened to about half of it, turned me off when she started blaming not just you, but the entire ex-Jehovah's Witness community as if they're somehow, you know, in the left-hand corner for the Watchtower. And I feel like she's the one that's come onto the scene recently. All the other ones, yourself and many others, have been doing their work for years, and yet she comes on and almost acts as if her message is superior to everyone else because of the topic or what happened to her. But the thing that bothers me is she makes a lot of statements, but still has nothing to back them up. She talks about what happens. If you notice, she talks about what happens. She says that the FBI allows her to talk about it, but then when it comes to the specifics, she says, well, I can't talk about it because it's still under investigation. So she hasn't really provided names, dates, proof. How about, you know, court documents? How about a report from the fire department that indicates her house was burnt down by arson versus something else that might have burned her house down? She hasn't provided really a shred of proof. It's all hearsay at this point. And I'm not saying something didn't happen to her. And I'm not saying that there couldn't have been brothers involved in some bad things. We know those things can happen. But to make it a systemic issue of the Watchtower, you know, going to that level, she needs to provide a lot more proof. And I'm just waiting to see more of that proof. So that's how I feel about it.
Well, thank you, Scott. Now, you know, I like her. I really do. I think she's very articulate. I see she's smart. She has a doctorate degree, so she's been willing to spend time in school. I know that she's not just some screwy lady that popped up here on the internet, but some of the things she does say is a little challenging. And here's what I'm gonna do here tonight. We have right now, you know, over 200 people listening in live. Actually, way more than that on the different networks we're on. I'm just looking at YouTube. But if there's anybody out there who has been in the witness world, I've been in for 50 years. I'm out of it now, of course. But anyone out there that's been in the Jehovah's Witness world for I don't care how many years, have you ever heard of a baby being sacrificed? I'm going to give $100 to someone that can prove that to me tonight. $100. I will ship it to you. I'll send it to you through Cash App, whatever. If someone can come on here tonight and tell me they have a known fact and can provide evidence, I'm going to give you $100 if you can tell me about a baby being sacrificed in the Watchtower. So let's see. I've never heard of it. I would love to hear of it. I mean, I don't like the idea of babies being sacrificed, but I'd like to put this to rest. Okay, let's take a look. Let's go to 608. Let's go to 608. You run with us. All right, 608. Let's go to 978. 978 looks like Dick Borgie.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'd like to comment on the Celine thing. I heard your interviews 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I just thought I'd really want to comment. I know our friend from New York gave you a hard time, but I was in your camp, Rick. When I listened to her video, she was saying, "I'm a doctor." It didn't seem appropriate what she was talking about. I'm a doctor. Well, I guess most people, when you say you're a doctor, that you graduate from med school and you got a stethoscope around your neck and you work in a hospital or have a private practice. No, she was evidently an English major. So I think she was kind of misleading with that. I know she said the FBI was involved, but if you want to hurt Tony, why not? Why go to the Kingdom Hall? They're gonna protect him. Go to the DA. Maybe she did, but I didn't catch that. And another thing, Dan said he did some research on it, and there was no 2 homes burnt down that he could find. And Dan's a pretty good investigator on his own right. So there's a lot of things with her that I'm not the kind of a person that would want to just believe her. A lot of times she sounded very credible. I'm sure Tony Morris is alcoholic, but you can't prove it. And very good chance he's a pedophile, but you can't prove it. And I just like people to understand that I'm 75 years old. I'm a month younger than you, Rick. So I remember Liberace. A lot of people probably don't. He was a very famous and flamboyant piano player, had his own show for years. But he was as queer or gay, whatever expression you want to use, as you ever want to come. But there's a newspaper in England that said he was a raging homosexual, which he probably was. But they couldn't prove it. You can't go on 6 screens, or you yourself, Rick, can't go on and say, absolutely, Tony Morris is a pedophile, because they will sue you. And the one thing they'd love to do is have grounds to shut down 6 screens of the Watchtower. And I think the idea that you're some kind of an operative for 6 screens is preposterous. I've known you for 20 years, and my God, I know you hate the Watchtower. You would, if you wanted to really do well by the Watchtower, you could have been a governing body member and be driving a Bentley and living really high off the hog. I just think it's ludicrous someone could even suggest that that you're getting paid or you're helping out the Watchtower. Just ludicrous.
Well, thank you, Dick. And I'll tell you, see, even on YouTube right now, people are chatting. Oh, Rick, why don't you show sympathy? Why are you picking on a woman I'm not picking on a woman. I believe she has been. I believe she really has been. Hold on one second. We got a lot of wind going on here. I'm going to mute some different people here. There's too much going on. Okay. I get people writing on YouTube. Don't you have any sympathy or feeling? Yes, I do. I believe that Selena was molested. I believe that. I even though I don't have personal evidence, circumstantial evidence. I've talked to so many other people, so I believe she was. So don't get all over my case. And I understand she was a CSA victim, and I know that. But my goodness, I don't know what's going on. This ex-witness world is really losing it. Really losing it. Oh, okay, you're on with us. Go ahead, 906. Okay. Hey, Dick, could you come on and just kind of, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Rick. It's Tim calling from Australia. How you doing?
Good, good, thank you.
I got it right. Oh, are you there?
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, cool. I listened to the whole Jimmy Bell interview, the whole thing. I thought personally it was quite good. You know what? I wouldn't take any offence to some of the things that, like being controlled opposition. Sometimes that's more of a term for people that can only operate within certain information paradigms. Like you're bound by YouTube. So there's certain things you can and cannot say on YouTube, which other platforms like Rumble will allow. So there is that control. It doesn't mean Watchtower is controlling you. It just means that there's certain things that you can and can't do, even like what Dick was saying about being sued, that type of a thing. A certain type of a platform might allow it. So you've got that, but also the other thing is I wouldn't put it out of question that Watchtower is capable of anything at all. When you're a corrupt or evil person like a pedophile, the Watchtower rules don't apply to you anymore. The decency, the common decency that people have, and nothing is off limits then. I've heard stories which are pretty bad, but they're still just anecdotes. So no, you can't prove them. With the Selena thing, Jimmy's going to do another interview and he's going to have it worked out so that he knows what to ask. And I would say hold off on judgment before at least we hear that. And by the sounds of it, one thing we can know is there is an active investigation and these things take time. And the thing is, she might not be able to prove. I mean, if they're going through a court of law to prove this stuff and there's a case, you can't just come on air and prove these things. Now, I'm not saying it's good to make outlandish allegations, but time will tell. Personally, I give her a fair amount of credibility. Like, she was pretty clear with what she said. Now, does it mean she's going to be right all the time? No, there's probably some things she doesn't know. That's just my opinion anyway. Thanks, Rick.
Okay, can I speak?
Mia, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, speak.
I have a problem with her knowledge of controlled opposition. That sounds so political to me. And I'm welcome to anybody to speak to this because it just sounds too premeditated. Okay?
Yeah, well, obviously, but I have to tell you, first of all, we love Jimmy Bell. I want to promote, he's going to be doing an interview with her. I mean, we're all going to be listening to it. So he's going to be doing
Jimmy and I are like next door neighbors.
Yeah, well, he's
and he knows we're in touch with all of this. Yeah. But I'm just saying that the premeditation of that phrase just it unnerves me.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to listen to what Jimmy's new interview will be. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, we have got someone calling in here. 608. Go ahead, 608. You're on with us.
Hello.
Go ahead, 608.
Hello?
Yeah. Yes, go. 608 first. Go ahead, 608. 608. All right, listen, you're on with us. I'm going to go to the next caller. Now's your time. 608. All right. 608's not going to come in.
All right.
Go ahead. You're on with us. Speak up. 608. Okay, let's go to let's go to 336. Go ahead, 336.
Hey, Rick, it's me, Jimmy.
Yeah, yes, Jimmy.
Muted.
Yes, Jimmy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Good.
Awesome, it's Jimmy. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
I can.
Right.
Well, hey, okay, I can't hear Rick. Can everybody else hear me?
You should. Yeah, we can hear you, Jim. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna talk.
Go ahead.
All right, first off, I want to say thank you to everyone who did watch the phone interview that I did with her. Now, what I want to just clear up a couple of things and let you guys know what my plan is. Now, if anybody knows me and knows what I've been doing for 3+ years, they know that I ask a lot of questions. They know that I'm looking for truth. And I know a lot of people, just call me different names and stuff like that. And, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that because I don't really have to answer to anybody like that. What I'm trying to do is get true information for everyone. And sometimes you have to wade through a lot of bull crap to get to that information. Now, this interview that I did with Selena, it wasn't supposed to be an interview. First off, I wasn't even going to put it out unless she said it was okay. Now, for the first 35 minutes or so of that video, she didn't know she was being recorded. So she just spoke freely. She spoke how she felt. She felt comfortable. Another thing is this is the first time that her and I have been able to speak with each other. And I'm not going to go guns a-blazing asking about all these deep things when I'm trying to build a rapport with her so we can build trust, we can have transparency, we can be honest with one another about things. Now, none of us know a lot about her, but there's a lot of people expressing their opinions and judgments because they think they know a lot about her. We don't know a lot yet. And so what I'm going to do is, if you've listened to the video, yes, I'm going to do a second interview with her. She has agreed to do that. And what I'm hoping to do is to get that interview in person. Because if we're in person, then I'll be able to feel the vibe. I'll be able to read the body language. I'll be able to feel the energies off of someone. Now, someone just asked me, do I have experience in that? Well, hello, I'm an insurance guy. And to be able to sell insurance policies, you have to be able to read buying signals. Anybody in sales knows that you look for buying signals, and that means reading someone's energy. So, and I've been in the insurance business since I was 21 years old, so I know how to do that. So what I want to do with this is ask her deeper questions. And what I did is on my Facebook page, I put out a thread to say, hey, if anybody wants any questions asked to Selena, put them here on this thread and let me compile a list. And when we get together, I'm going to ask her these deeper questions. And if it turns out that she's fake, phony, and false, I will call that out. If she turns out to be true and given me the information, then there's that. So a lot of folks need to, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but a lot of people need to quit passing judgment right away on somebody that they don't know nothing about, they haven't talked to her, and they're not trying to do anything. They're just sitting in the stands yelling. That's all they're doing. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just true. That's what's going on. And so when she's talking about the XJW community, what I took from the interview was she's on the outside of the XJW community. She's perceiving what she sees from her vantage point. See, we're in the XJW community and we think somebody that says that's going to be crazy. Oh no, we're not like that. But there are some folks in the XJW community that all they want to do, fuss, fight, cause division, argue with one another, and always want to be right when they're trying to pass their point of view. And a lot of folks have lost I've said this before, a lot of folks have lost the art of conversation. And they can't mutually respect one another when there's a debate. And so when you see all that going on within a community, you're going to be like, yeah, those folks they don't have it together. And that's what people are missing, is seeing it from her point of view. Now, the controlled opposition thing, okay, yeah. Have I had questions about Rick before? Yes, I have. I've had questions about everybody. But that's how you get to the truth. You ask questions. Now, do I think Rick is completely controlled opposition? No, I don't. I've had my doubts, but doubts can be what's the word I'm looking for?
Subjective.
Yeah, subjective, and a doubt can be filled. You know, once you find out something, oh my God, I doubted that before. Okay, but now I see it. So it's okay to ask questions and have doubts about things until you get an answer that satisfies you personally. So all I'm asking is just let me work, let me get to the bottom of this, and I will do it. I'm going to, I told somebody on my Facebook page today, I'm going to channel my inner Tucker Carlson and James O'Keefe because I really like being an investigative journalist. And I'm going to do it fairly.
And you're good at it, Jimmy.
She's a crackpot. This is why. I'll have reasons why. If it comes back and she's legit, then I'm going to say, yeah, she's legit. This is why I believe so. And then folks can decide for themselves what they want to believe.
Well, Jimmy, I really do believe.
I'm willing to take any questions.
Okay, Jimmy, can you hear me? This is Rick. Can you hear me?
We love you, Jimmy.
Yeah, hold on, Martha. Can you hear me, Jimmy?
All right. Well, I appreciate that.
I don't know if Jimmy can hear me.
You are a champion.
All right, for some reason.
Listen, Jimmy, I don't have no problem with you putting in the work, but I mean, this woman kind of jumped on the stage. She became, had tons of views, from her accounts that went viral. And she came on the show and she talked. So, I mean,
Unmuted.
Spent a little bit of time looking into her as well. I went through a lot of her posts, almost all of them, and listened to them. And so, I mean, the natural inclination is that we can have an opinion and we might form that opinion early. And that's not to say that later down the road that couldn't change. But that's kind of the nature of the beast. I mean, every time there's a crime, people will be very quick to jump to conclusions, and then they find out later that maybe the end result was completely opposite of what it was. But again, keep in mind, she kind of jumped into our world rather than us jumping into her world. So I think that's why probably a lot of people are feeling very skeptical one way or another. Like Rick said, I've been in this organization since the 60s. And some of the things she's saying just sounds totally ridiculous. And again, I'm not saying that she couldn't be a CSA. I understand that. I know people that are. My wife was. My sister-in-law was. So I understand that. But, I just question some of what she's saying. And again, she hasn't really provided a lot of proof in my book. She keeps falling back that she has the proof, but it's with the FBI, and I can't talk about it. So I'd like to see more, like the business about the houses. She claims that houses were burned down, but do we really know what the case was? That's all.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I want to touch on a couple of things if it's okay. One, I understand about forming opinions early. People do it all the time when the news hits. And if people have been following me and hear what I say, one thing I put out there to all the time is when a story breaks, no matter what it is, you need to give it about 24 to 72 hours to see what happens. Yeah, we're going to form an opinion on it, but we need to be careful about putting our opinion out there and calling it, this is true, and and I believe this, and nothing's going to change my mind. Because my first initial thought when this all popped off with her was like, okay, is she controlled opposition? Is she something that Watchtower put out there to get everybody all riled up and fussing with each other? That was my first opinion. And then I said, you know what? Let me wait, because it's not like she jumped into the XJW community. She didn't put her TikTok out on any of our YouTube channels, our Facebook channels, or anything like that. She did it on her own channel. We are the ones that put her in the XJW community. Exactly. Because she knows nothing about it. So if you listen to the interview, she actually says that. She says, Jimmy, I don't know anything about the XJW community. And I told her, I said, don't worry about that. I'll handle that.
Well, Jimmy,
So
this is Rick Farron, Jim. I have to tell you, no, really, you did a really good job, and I want the audience just to understand one thing. I'm looking forward to the interview, and I know that you're going to do your diligence with this, and I know you're a sharp guy, and you'll be able to pick up. But she said a couple of things that did raise my eyebrows. I'm not opposition. I mean, I'm not controlled opposition, but that's okay if she thinks so. But the point I wanted to make with this, she did say something that caught my attention that kind of got me thinking. She said that the Watchtower, they love us ex-witnesses to talk about shunning, because that's something that nobody can really stop that. That's not illegal. Just because people are shunned, it's not a crime. So she was kind of accusing the 6 screens of, we do have a lot of programs on shunning. So she says the Watchtower would like that, because we're not really going deep into the, baby sacrificing and all of the deep rabbit holes that you would go down. So she says, so that caught my attention. I thought that was fascinating. I'll go along with that. And she's a very smart woman. I have to say that the woman is no dumbbell. I mean, she's very smart. And I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to your interview. And I know you'll get down to the brass tacks. And I know Jimmy, if he seems something not right, you'll come out and say it, I'm sure,
I'm telling you guys, I just want the true information. I want to bring that back to the community. I have, like I said before, we've all been lied to our whole lives. I don't want to be lied to no more. And if I can sniff something out, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do every possible thing that I can do to get the information that everyone's looking for. That's what. And as far as her mentioning the whole, Watchtower would love us to talk about shunning, I get that. Because like you just said, Rick, that's not a criminal offense. And so all of our YouTube channels, we've all talked about shunning. We all talk about how bad it is. But I have to agree with her when she says we're not focusing on the criminality of Watchtower like we should be. And if we all did, then Watchtower can't stop that. And as a matter of fact, just to let you guys know, I have got an interview set up on Monday with Bill Keeler. He's a radio show host in Utica, New York. He's heard about me. He wants me to be on his show. And then I'm doing an interview with Quinn Wright and the Big Picture team with Ole Damnegard. Now, a lot of people don't know him, but he is very good at breaking down political stuff, and he doesn't know much about Watchtower, but we're going to present to him what we know about Watchtower, what Watchtower's like, and he's going to give us his opinion with just the information we give. That interview, and he's actually, I don't know if you guys know, but Michael Jaco, but he's an executive producer for the Michael Jaco Show. So these audiences that we're getting ready to go to is going to the public. We're going outside of the XJW community, outside the JW community, and we're taking this information to the public with a whole brand new audience where people can actually understand how evil Watchtower is. That's what we're getting ready to do. And so once the public understands that Jehovah's Witnesses are not just these friendly people that come to your door on Saturday morning, but they are an evil criminal syndicate. Exactly. And that's one thing that Selena said. Scientology, Mormons, they're all the same. They just go by different names. Yep.
Jimmy, we got a lot of people want to come in here. Jimmy, we got so many people want to talk to you. Let's go to 831. Go ahead. Say hello to Jimmy Bell. You're on with us. 831.
Sorry, Rick. I didn't even take over the program.
No. I want. We got so many people want to talk to you, Jimmy. Let's go to looks like San Jose, California. 831. I believe that's Anne Marie. Go ahead, Anne Marie. All right.
No, I'm not in San Jose, but I am 831. I just tuned in, so I'll wait to comment later. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay, let's go to 347.
You're welcome.
347, you're on with us. Go ahead, 347.
How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing good. Say hello to Jimmy.
How you doing, Jimmy?
What you want to say to Jimmy?
Yeah, regarding this girl that went to see Tony Morris at the Kingdom Hall where he goes, I saw all those videos that she's done on TikTok, and I'm sorry to say, but she just doesn't sound like she's wrapped too tight. I found what she had to say was very disturbing. And she was very sporadic. She just couldn't stay on any subject. She jumped from one subject to another. Very narcissistic. I find her to be narcissistic, and she's looking for attention, and she's exaggerating it. I'm not saying anybody didn't happen to her, but she's really going with it. You know what I'm saying? And
I got you. I understand that. That's fair.
Yeah, 347. Jimmy understands all of that. And that's why he's got this interview coming up that we're all going to be focused on. We're all going to be focused on that interview. Jimmy isn't coming on here tonight saying that I got it all, I believe everything. That's why he's going to have an interview with her. So it's going to be fascinating. I encourage everyone to listen to the interview he's going to have. Okay, let's.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rick.
Who's this? Go ahead.
Rick.
Yeah.
on TikTok. And you get close pictures of the way she talks, man.
Yeah, I got you 347. Thank you for commenting. Was it Illinois? You're on with us. Who's coming on next? Illinois, go ahead.
Hey Rick, how's it going? It's Mark.
Yes, Mark. Doing good. Yes.
Great, good to hear. Very good to hear. Yeah, I haven't listened to your show too recently for a couple of weeks, but I want to get on tonight and see how you were doing and how everything was going.
Well, we can't change.
A great show tonight.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you. We're having a great show, but we're in the middle of a major discussion, Mark. So
I understand.
So we're gonna have to go back to. I don't want to lose the thread here. So thank you, though, Mark, for coming in. Okay. All right.
Got a great show going, though.
Okay.
And you bet, Rick. Keep it going. You're doing a totally awesome job. Thank you, Rick.
All right. There you go. All right. Well, anyways, I mean, when you stop and think about it, let's not. Here's what I want you to do. Then we'll end this discussion tonight. Selena Bertolomo. She's caused a lot of people got attention from her. They all put their attention on her, I should say. And she's going to have a great interview with Jimmy coming up. So listen, when Jimmy comes on, you watch that interview. We'll all be watching it closely. Jimmy does a great job, and I know he can do as good as anybody that I would think of. So let's give Jimmy the understanding that he can do the job, and we'll find out when Jimmy does it, and we'll see exactly what's going on. We get time for one more call, and then we're going to change the subject. Go ahead, 704. Is that 704? Go ahead, you're on with us. Is it 704? Go ahead. Speak up. All right.
Okay. Can I say something?
Go ahead. Yep.
Well, Selena is accused of being attention seeker and narcissistic. And is there anybody here of the callers or of the people who have the shows who can say that they are not seeking attention and they are not a little bit narcissistic? I feel it's just like when Jesus said, the person who is innocent, please throw the first stone. And she might be a little bit over the top. But considering if it's true, like you said, what she has experienced, then who wouldn't be a little bit over the top after experience such a thing? I sure would be if I experienced it. And maybe she misspoke, and maybe I just misspoke now. So maybe I think I said something wrong now because I was stressed. But I mean, everybody can misspeak. Everybody can misspeak. Maybe she wanted to say that she suspected him, but she said he is, or something like that. You can always misspeak, and so I just feel like she's a woman, she's a strong woman, and weak men, they don't enjoy strong women. And I have experienced that on the 6 screens here. People have claimed me to be Hitler here, said that they wouldn't want to be in the show if I was a co-host. I mean, Selena, she's a woman. So I think a lot of the people are speaking bad about her because she's a strong woman. Oh, that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, Grace from Sweden. Well, thank you, Grace from Sweden. That's good. Okay, we're going to just wrap this up. I'm going to let Jimmy give the last words here, and then we're going to move to some other news articles tonight. Jimmy, go ahead, Jimmy. You're on with us. Give the last words here tonight, Jimmy.
Okay, so here's my last words for this evening. I'm just asking for time to get this done. And I'm going, somebody accused me that I didn't come through with a promise when I did that interview. Well, I didn't make a promise for that interview to anybody. But I will publicly make a promise to each and every one of you right now. I love the XJW community. I have been in it for 4 years now. I love it because there's so many people that have been destroyed. Their lives have been destroyed by Watchtower. We have a way to where we connect. We have a way to where people can understand us when we talk about certain things. We can't take our experiences outside of folks that don't know anything about Watchtower. So it can be a very comforting community. It has helped me at times. It has pissed me off at times. But for the most part, I love the XJW community. And because I love it, I will do everything I possibly can to make sure that the questions I present to her, the way we handle this interview, I'm going to do it in the most transparent style that I can. I'm going to give it my all and go for the right information. And that's all I can say I can do. And like I said, if I feel like I'm being bamboozled, I will let you guys know. I felt bamboozled through the interview. If I don't get that feeling, then I'm going to tell y'all that too. All I'm going to do is give you the information from what I gather. And I promise to do a very good job with that.
Well, Jimmy, I have to say
I'm asking,
there's nobody in the ex-Jehovah's Witness world that will do a better interview than you. I mean that. There's nobody out there. Well, I mean that sincerely. So he's going to come away from that interview, and I want you all to listen in when he does it. He'll put it up. I'll put it up on my Facebook. I'll promote it on YouTube. When he puts it up, listen to it. And Jimmy's going to be very objective. He's not going to just sway into some situation he's going to be talked into. This guy's got his head on straight, and he'll give a great interview. So looking forward to it.
Thank you, Rick. All right. Well, that's all I got to say tonight.
Right.
So I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Jimmy.
And thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much. All right. We're gonna move on, folks. I mean, that's Jimmy Bell. He's no stranger to the 6 screens, had his own program on here. YouTube gave us a lot of problems because he speaks the truth. So let's listen to what Jimmy can say. There's nobody I can think of that would do a better job. Let me just mention a few things. People have been writing me all week asking about Susan. Susan is my wife. Susan has had a difficult week. Last Saturday night, if you can remember, I'm just going to mute some people here. Hold on 1 second. All right. So last Saturday night, if you can remember, if you see me getting up from time to time, my wife has been not doing good as of late. Her blood pressure has been very high. Her pulse rate is very high. So last Saturday night, you might have saw me getting up and going in the other room or whatever. But I'm trying to, help her somewhat. She's had some difficulties with high pulse rate. So last Sunday morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, her pulse rate was shooting up close to 200. And they told me if it ever gets that high, she could go into a stroke. She could go into a coma. A number of things could happen to her. So I had to get her out of here by ambulance. She went up to the Lowell Hospital here in Massachusetts. And they were very good people. She was there for a week. I just took her out a couple hours before our program started today. So the blood pressure has come down. She's doing somewhat better. But if you see me get up from time to time during the program, I'm just trying to tend to my wife. That's my first obligation. And my second obligation is to the 6 screens, but my first obligation is to Susan. So I have to kind of watch over her. So thank you all for sending well wishes and sending all your thoughts and prayers. And we really do appreciate that. I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart. It really, and if I couldn't get back to everybody, I mean, I've had that. I couldn't believe the amount of people writing me and calling me. And if I didn't answer or get back to you, please forgive me. I just couldn't do it. So I wanted to make the announcement tonight. But thank you all for at least understanding that. Now, another thing I want to talk about tonight, well, just this week was September 11th. Does that ring a bell? September 11th. And well, that was, you know what happened on September 11th, right? The towers in New York were hit by those planes and down it came. So I'm thinking, at least myself, I got thinking this week when September 11th showed up. I remember I called the Watchtower on September 12th. And I was so shook up, like all of us. We all remember where we were, right? When September 11th came about and the planes hit the towers. That's one of those moments in life you'll never forget. But I can remember I was so shook up and I couldn't believe it was happening. And on live TV, people were watching this. And so the next day I wanted to call the Watchtower. I was still in the Watchtower. I was still a believer. And so I called the Watchtower the next day and I wanted to know what they were doing to help the poor people. I saw Christian ministries. I seen people doing everything they could to, coming in with bottles of water and food and opening up hotels and restaurants and feeding all the rescue workers. And I'm thinking, well, what's the Watchtower doing? I'm part of this organization. I want to know. So I called the Watchtower and I asked the Watchtower, well, what are you guys doing? For 9/11, I'm reading in the paper about the ministries handing out water and food. Are you helping the people? Oh, yeah. In fact, I talked to a representative from the Watchtower. He said, oh, yeah, we're helping the people. Yeah, we're printing additional magazines on terrorist attacks. And what we're doing is we're going to let the people know we're going to have 10 elders go down to ground zero and give out all of these magazines and gives people spiritual help. People didn't need spiritual help. They did not need spiritual help. They needed material help, physical help. They needed food. They needed water. Where was the Watchtower? And then all of the people that were leaving the area where the buildings went down in Manhattan, they were trying to flee. So they went over the Brooklyn Bridge. And that's right adjacent to Watchtower. And I always thought, boy, if the Watchtower could have just opened the doors and let these poor people come in, and what a great PR move that would have been for them. Watchtower opens the doors to the refugees from the burning towers. I mean, that would have been wonderful. And they would have been in the headlines. They would have been on the news headlines on TV news, as well as paper news and newspaper news. But no, they did not do that. And consequently, I think they really messed it up. And even as the people, I also got information from a Bethelite that as the people walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, Watchtower locked the doors so nobody would get in. How evil is that? But I just wanted to remind you of that. September 11th. Yes, and now here it is, 2023. That happened in 2001. So that's, what was that, 22 years ago. 22 years ago. And I'll never forget it. That was Watchtower's opportunity to come out smelling like a rose, and they missed it. What do you think? You're on with us.
Hey, Rick?
Yeah.
Rick?
Yes.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, if I might comment. Do you remember I told you that I had an opportunity in 2002, 2003 to meet 3 guys who had left Bethel, and they told me about that day. And they said that Bethelites were hanging out the windows watching everything crumble and everybody screaming and saying, too late for you, Armageddon's here. And they were making fun of them. And two of the guys just were hanging their heads. They seemed like they were ashamed, but they were nodding their head like, yeah, they did that. We did that. And the one that was telling me everything that they had done at Bethel, they said that the elders came along and told everybody, get away from the windows, shut down the windows, stay away, lock all the doors. And he said that the people were like zombies crossing the Brooklyn Bridge, covered in gray, white powder. It was very, very hot. Nobody had water. They were like half dead, just walking one foot in front of the other. And, you know, nobody was doing anything. And he said it wasn't until the news crew that was following the throng that was slowly crossing the Brooklyn Bridge saying, here we are in front of supposedly the headquarters of God's organization, and there's nobody here to offer even a word of comfort, a bottle of water, a blanket, no kindness. The doors are locked closed. He said that was on a live news feed. And when the elders or the higher ups at Bethel saw that coming over the live feed, now they got to look good. Like you said, PR opportunity. Then the guy telling me the story said, then they were ordered to go bring out bottled water and a blanket to look good because the news crew was filming. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, seriously, the Watchtower in so many instances, you know, even, have you ever seen the Good Samaritans? Jimmy, well, it would have been, well, I forget who it is. Boy, I just can't think off the top of my head. But the Good Samaritans, it's an organization that goes out and it takes care of people that are hurting. And they offer all kinds of help, like the Red Cross. But where is the Watchtower? They're going to go down and give them magazines? Give them magazines? That's going to help them? How foolish is that? That's crazy. 608, you want to say something? Go ahead. All right, 608 doesn't want to say something. Let's move on then. Boy, the 2023 Watchtower. It is really something. I guess they're studying it right now. And again, they're bringing up the idea of the Great Tribulation. I mean, how much longer can they keep preaching that before people are going to say enough is enough? Let me just show you the picture in the July 2023 Watchtower. There it is. You can see it right now. Let me put it up on the screen. So if you're on Facebook and YouTube, you can see it. Now, there it is. Look at that. Now, look at that. That's people. Look at those are people that are, you know, seeing the Great Tribulation coming. And you can also see up in the left-hand corner there, people studying in the bunker. How long can the Watchtower really get away with this? I tell you, this has got to be wearing thin. This cannot be like factual anymore. How could it be when they've been so messed up? Oh, it's right around the corner. We're going to have the Great Tribulation, then Armageddon is going to come right after it. I mean, how long? 140 years of this, the same old rhetoric. Why is it, or how is it that people keep buying this? This is absolutely nuts to me when you stop and think about it. It just doesn't make any sense at all. But yet they continue to do it. I mean, this is just more fear porn. Let's call it that, fear porn, to terrify people. You know, they're showing people, look at the people in the bunker. Take a look at the picture. Look close. They're in there with tablets in the bunker. Is there going to be Wi-Fi speeds after the tribulation? How are they going to get Wi-Fi in the new system? How are they even going to get Wi-Fi during the Great Tribulation when everything's being bombed and destroyed? I mean, everything's going to be in shambles. How is it that the witnesses can just suck this stuff up? And then I guess also I have to think about the internet. Where is the internet going to come from? Is AT&T? Is Verizon? T-Mobile? These people that provide internet access, are they going to be around during the Great Tribulation? I mean, these towers are going to be destroyed. I mean, these are things that you got to think about. you really have to think about. So are you thinking about it? I think a lot of witnesses perhaps now are. They're starting to get very tired of it. How are you going to charge your iPad? I mean, is JW streaming going to be working during the Great Tribulation? You know what really gets me too? You're looking at the people, look at all these people leaving in the Great Tribulation. You got young couples, and you don't see older, chronically sick people. You don't. In these scenarios that the Watchtower puts up in their magazines and their videos, you don't see old, decrepit people. You don't see women that are pregnant. You know, that's the real world we live in. That's the real world we live in. But the Watchtower paints this world that's illusionary. They paint a world that is not real. And well, look at the people that are studying. They got the. I can't believe it. The witnesses really should start thinking about all of this. All right, let's move to the next story. We got many stories. We got Joe and Fran coming up here very, very shortly. But I wanted to talk about something that is very interesting. I came across something. I came across something that I saw the witness cart witnessing is now taking place late at night. Can you imagine that midnight cart witnessing? Well, I can imagine it because when I lived in Florida, there were actually people going out, Jehovah's Witnesses, late at night, like midnight, going out and witnessing. Oh, yeah, they're going out. In fact, they're at airports late at night. They're at special events like basketball games, baseball games, and they got the cart there. I mean, 11:30 at night, you know, at an airport, you know, people are tired. They're coming in. They got jet lag. Do they really want to witness yakking to them about religion? I mean, seriously. Think about it. I mean, they wouldn't. And how about a major sporting events and special events? There the witnesses are with the carts. I mean, who's really interested in talking to the witnesses leaving a sporting event? Silly. And then also in Denmark, I got some information that came into me today at the 6 screens that I thought was really silly. In Denmark, they have a thing. The Jehovah's Witnesses have a little thing they call super dogging. Super dogging. I said, what is that? That's witnessing super. Well, they go like crazy for 24 hours. Can you imagine that? Jehovah's Witnesses go for 24 hours, nonstop witnessing, going around the city at night trying to talk to people. Jeez, I mean, it's getting absolutely crazy. And then, of course, there's even, I get reports coming in here to the 6 screens of people going into early morning in the gas stations like 7-Eleven, going to truck stops first. They'll start at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And then when it gets around 9:30, 10, they'll go door to door. I mean, come on. Can you imagine that's actually happening? But I can. When I lived in Florida, like I say, there were plenty of people that were actually going out doing midnight witnessing. How disgusting is that? Well, you're on with us. If you want to speak up, all you have to do is hit *6. Did you ever do midnight witnessing? Does that sound like it would be interesting to you? I don't think it would be. Well, we've got more stories, but you know something? We're going to end it here. And we'll bring these stories up next week, unless we want to hear. Yeah, we want to hear from Gilbert. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Yeah, I did midnight witnessing. I used to get phone calls from the state of Arizona. You got to get over to the jail, to prison. And I used to. That's why all of the Jehovah's Witnesses, all the elders, regular pioneers, nobody wanted to actually do that work. See, it's nice when you wear a pretty suit and you hang out at the right clubs and everybody likes you. But when you have to actually do the work, that's the one that separates the men from the boys. So the thing about the midnight witnessing, it's a lot of like, look at me, look at me. There's a lot of people that actually do work, you know, in other religions. I've seen it when I did midnight witnessing, and there's people from other religions going. People are suicidal in jail, in prison. I did one with a lady found out that her son died and she was an illegal alien. She was in a holding pen. You know, and you have to deal with this stuff. So, but this is not the type of work that Watchtower is talking about. There's this easy work, you know, where you just fill time cards, you know, and so yeah, I did midnight witnessing, you know, and it's a kind of job that it's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it, Rick. And I just wanted to say one thing too. You know how I always say how Jesus never talked about, he never used the word research. Jesus says, from the abundance of a man's heart, his mouth speaks. Everything you need to know about Watchtower and apostates, anybody, your next door neighbor, Jesus says, be a good listener. Learn how to listen. And you're going to find, you don't need to research anything. I don't need to research anything because Jesus gave me ears. He told me, from the abundance of a person's heart, their mouth speaks. And that, my friend, is what I think everyone should learn, whether you want to get in the religious realm or the political realm, in the financial realm. That is the answer. And I just think this midnight witnessing is just another way to get your easy time in a regular Pioneer. But to actually do the work, yeah, very few Jehovah's Witnesses are going to do the real midnight work.
Well, I like, Gilbert, what you said. It kind of makes you feel very important. And the witnesses would look at themselves as being somewhat elite or above the other witnesses by going out at midnight. Good comment. Thank you, Gilbert. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Chicago, Illinois. 312. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Farron, this is Stefan. My comment's kind of like Gilbert's. As soon as you mentioned it, I thought to myself, you know what? That's just busy work. This organization is floundering. They're trying to hold on to its members. They're trying to keep them from seeing all the terrible stories that are out there. So you got to keep them busy. That's the only thing that would come to your mind. So why are you going to have somebody manning a cart at midnight? That's totally insane. You're just keeping people busy. And I said to myself, when COVID first hit and they stopped the in-person meetings, I said, when they do resume in-person meetings, which they had to, because the Kool-Aid wears off when it's not in person. And I said they're going to have to really clamp down to try to reinforce their power and stranglehold on people, and they're going to have to give them all kind of busy work to do to prevent them from seeing what's going on. And this is exactly what you have, and it's only going to get worse.
Well, very good comment, Stefan. Very good comment. Thank you. Well, we want to thank everyone for coming. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can I make one quick comment as fast as I can?
Yes.
My husband said that this midnight witnessing, he goes, they're desperate. They're just desperate to think of something different and new to keep these guys from getting bored out of their mind. And like the brother was said, that Jesus said, out of the abundance of a man's heart, the mouth speaks. Well, unfortunately, these indoctrinated cult recruiters for Watchtower are speaking out of the abundance of their indoctrination and their programming, and it's so sad. They just have to try to keep them thinking that they're somehow special, somehow, modern, whatever is new. Oh, yeah, they're right in step with what's going on to serve God. Oh, it's the saddest thing, isn't it, Rick? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. Okay, let's go to 608. 608, you're on with us. Go ahead. Go ahead, 608, you're on. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead. You're on with us. All right. Let's go to 615. 615, you're on with us.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
The midnight witnessing. This is Eric, by the way. Yeah. When I was a pioneer in the late 90s, I was fortunate to have a kingdom hall that had a bunch of kids in it, my age, all relatively around. There probably was it was an overabundance, probably just about under 20 of us. And then some of us pioneered, and we all broke the rules, and we would go out witnessing 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. dump off massive amounts of magazines, have huge placements, and then be tired by 9 o'clock and give up. And then we're not supporting the group in the field ministry, you know. And but it made the hours look good, and people who did that sometimes were called the Phantom Pioneer. I went out anyways. I went out at 9 and I would quit 12. Even if I did that, I mean, not all the time, but usually. But we would. It was like so taken advantage of what we would do, because it was just about partying, Rick. We would get kids from Johnston, Rhode Island, from East Providence, Bristol, even Massachusetts, right on the edge, Seekonk, Swansea, all over. We'd all meet at one Kingdom Hall at 4 o'clock or 2 o'clock a.m. All hang out for a little bit, do our little worship thing, and then all hang out with friends. We weren't accomplishing anything, you know. What it is to me, it's just the same old recycled things that they used to do. Just like the cart witnessing. What's the original cart witnessing? The billboard. You know, that's all I got to say, Rick. Thank you.
Well, you're right on key, Eric. I agree 100% with you, 100%. Boy, we get so many people wanting to call in here. We'll take a few more calls, but we got to move on to our next program. Let's go to 330. You're on with us. 330, you're on with us. All right. No, 330. Okay. Let's look over here. All righty. Let's go to 718, New York City. Go ahead. 718.
Hey, Rick. That midnight preaching, as you called it, I remember back in the day in the 90s. You're familiar with the Greenwich Village area in New York City with the jazz clubs and so forth?
Oh, yeah.
I remember coming home, and I haven't been out on a Saturday night. I'm just at that age I couldn't care less. But back in the early 90s, I remember the subway stop there, the West 4th Street subway stop there. There was just one solo brother, and this is about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning by himself with the magazines. So this was way before the carts. This was in the 90s, the early 90s. And I will never forget this one brother in that West 4th Street subway with the, I even had to tell my mother that. I even had to tell her, Lord knows I'm not, I always supposed to witnesses. I even had to tell her that. So what do you think of that? I saw a brother after midnight placing the magazines and stuff like that. I don't know if he was making up time or a pioneer, but that was just so bizarre back then. But now you had like the other callers saying that they've done it. So, but that was the first time in the early 90s I've ever heard of midnight or after midnight witnessing. And that really, I'll never forget that. And Greenwich Village, the jazz clubs, the bars and all that. And that's where you're pioneering down there for people like that area. That's just crazy. That's crazy. That's bizarre.
Well, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. You're right, Shirley. Yeah. It is. Well, thank you, Shirley. Always good to hear from a good friend, Shirley. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we got time for one more call. Then we're going to Joe and Fran in New York. So let's go 540. You're on with us. Go ahead. 540. You're on with us. Okay, I guess not. Anyways, okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
I got a new thing for you. Okay, now FEMA on October the 4th at 2 o'clock. Turn your cell phones off until 3 o'clock. Go look up at FEMA's website and go and look at what's going on in this country.
So what day is that? What day is that? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Come again, David. What day was that?
October the 4th at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. You unplug your cell phone. You unplug your computer. You unplug your internet.
Well, what's going to happen?
I'm just saying something's going to happen. This is something with the government up there, Washington D.C.
All right. Well, October 4th. Well, what's the time again? I'll make a note of it. What's the time?
2 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
All right. Well,
let's unplug your telephone. You unplug your telephone. You unplug your internet, and you unplug any other devices in your home.
All right. I'm gonna make a note of it. All right. No, it's okay. No, David, I know you're not kidding. I know you're not. I know you're a seriously minded man. But okay, thank you for that encouraging thoughts and informative thoughts. Thank you, David.
All right, you
Is
take
that
it.
Eastern Standard Time, Pacific Time, Mountain Time, PM or AM, and why? Don't just tell us to do something. I mean, give me something.
It is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
It's the National Broadcast System thing.
Okay.
Everybody's talking about it right now.
So how are we going to hear some kind of national broadcast if we unplug everything? I mean, I want to hear what you're saying, but I don't really know what you're saying.
To it. Just listen. Just don't listen to it. Unplug your stuff.
Oh.
Be part of it. Okay.
It's just the FEMA alert test. Sorry, I'm very skeptical that this is anything you need to turn your phones off. Otherwise, I'll have to be telling my employer that I can't work for an hour because of something like this. It's a little ridiculous. It's a public alert test. It's probably no different than what they do on your television periodically.
Just think that way, okay?
I will.
But you just remember, everything.
All right. All right. Well, I mean, we give everyone a voice. We give everyone a voice. They can say what they want. I mean, you can take and do what you want with it. All right. Well, thank you, David, for sharing that with us. All right. We're going to end the program here. We have to go to Joe and Fran. They're coming up next right here on our Six Screens Telenetwork. But I want to thank everyone for coming into the Six Screens tonight. Now, listen, if you like the program, why don't you share it? Why don't you like it? And, people say to me, Rick, we want to help the Six Screens. We'll send you some money. Don't send any money. I don't need the money. I don't need the money. I'm trying to help you. Okay? I got out of this for free. I don't want you to pay a penny. I'm trying to help everybody out there. So anyways, what you could do, though, why don't you comment on Reddit? Let them know how you like the Six Screens. Comment on JWN, some of these forums online. Tell them how you're listening to the Six Screens. I mean, that would do more for me than sending me $1,000, seriously. So why don't you write this? Get the word spread. Get people listening into the Six Screens. Thank you, though, for listening in tonight. Keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up or out. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Joe and Fran next. The Outside Story. That's up next. Stay with us.